Grasshoppers existed long before dinosaurs. Typical propaganda, okay? Our modern-day grasshopper descend from ancient grasshoppers that lived long before the dinosaurs roamed the earth. And guess what? When they find the grasshoppers trapped in amber, we already showed those big chunks of amber out there, they look just like today's grasshoppers. So for 300 million years, they didn't change. Everything else came and went, but they didn't change. Grasshoppers 2 feet long have been found fossilized. You can make a meal out of those. Tarantula with a 3-foot leg span, fossil. 60-foot cattail fossils have been found. Here is a living crab. Here is a fossil one. Tell me. Horseshoe crab. I think they look about the same, don't they? There's a whole videotape where a guy did called Living Fossils. He goes through dozens of them. Animals they say are millions of years old, and the living ones are just exactly like them. See, if you find fossil in the dirt, all you know is it died. You couldn't prove it had any kids, and you sure couldn't prove it had different kids. And why would you think a bone you found in the dirt can do something animals today cannot do, which is produce something other than their kind? No fossil would count as evidence in a court of law, as evidence for evolution in a court of law. Okay. The find was made in the Rising Star Cave system. The creature, which evidently walked upright. Now, I believe you could possibly tell that from the skeleton, from the hip bones and the way the legs attach to the hip bones. I think you could probably tell that. Okay. What can you learn from fossils? Look at the fossils in the photograph. Describe the fossil's characteristics in as much detail as you can. Okay, what you have right there is one of these, a trilobite. Tri meaning 3, lobes meaning 3 parts to the body. It has 3 lobes, trilobite, okay? I have a dead trilobite right here, well, the fossil of one. From your description in step 1, try to figure out how the organism lived. Okay, I would guess it was able to roll up like a roly-poly, had a whole bunch of legs. I would guess it would be able to run around, and probably could eat, and probably could sleep, and probably could make babies. I bet we could deduce a few things from it, okay? How did it move? Where did it live? Well, we know they live at the bottom of the ocean, and there's pretty good evidence there may still be some down there. Yeah. I'm a scientist. I like to learn things. So I got my Swiss Army knife out, which has a magnifying glass. By the way, this is why Switzerland has never been invaded. Charles Darwin, his only degree was in theology. Theology. He went to school to be a preacher. Was he a scientist, Mr. Nelson? Hit pause right here and answer that question. Was he a scientist? Do you think he was a scientist? Charles Darwin was graduated from Bible college. Barely. Check it out. Henry Morris pointed out, he started the Institute for Creation Research, ICR.org in Dallas. Great bunch, by the way. It is worth noting that almost none of the leaders of this evolutionary revival had been trained as scientists. In the modern sense, none were educated as physicists or chemists or biologists or geologists or astronomers or other natural sciences. As already noted, Charles Darwin himself was an apostate divinity student whose only degree was in theology. Charles Lyell was a lawyer. He's the one who invented the geologic column. A lawyer? Why not a geologist? Come on, guys. Why don't you tell people? Attorney Lyell. Call him attorney instead of scientist. He's not a scientist. They keep using this phrase. Listen to this carefully. He'll say, well, we've discovered, and you say right here, we've recently discovered that Velociraptor had feathers due to quill knobs found. We've recently discovered, like you're one of these who did the discovery. They always use the word, they want to include themselves. We have discovered, or we think, or we feel, or we have found. You're not part of the group, okay? You're a student. You're an ordinary person. You're not part of this group. And this small elite group that is discovering these things, wanting to include you as part of their club, we've discovered, they're lying.